Welcome to Man in America. I'm your host, Seth Holhouse. We're living in an amazing time right now. Obviously, there's a lot of major changes happening at the federal level, but the changes that I'm most concerned about are the changes that are happening at the level of we the people and the awakening of we the people. And if you look at the systems that have been used to enslave us, the medical system has been one of the number one tools that has been used to keep us trapped in illness, in sickness, in fear. And what's amazing is this whole Maha movement, which has become a very mainstream movement, is that there is a collective mass awakening of people realizing that they don't need to fear illness. They don't need to fear the commercials. Every second commercial is, are you suffering from this? Are you suffering from that? Well, here's a pill to fix it for you. And the trust in big pharma is plummeting, as it should be, because a lot of other treatments are coming out. Now, one of those treatments, which is the most demonized, is something called chlorine dioxide. And I even thought, should I do a show on this? Am I going to be targeted for it? But the thing is that I don't care because I follow the truth. And I've seen amazing results with this with my own family. And my guest today, Jonathan Otto, has been doing it for quite some time using chlorine dioxide. And it's also one of the most common questions that I get. People asking me, Seth, can you please talk about chlorine dioxide? Can you talk about it? How is it used? What does it do? Where do I get it? So we're going to cover a lot of this information. Now, a quick disclaimer, I'm not prescribing anything. I'm not a doctor. The purpose of this show is for education and entertainment. So maybe you're going to laugh, maybe you're going to cry. That's my purpose. So is to entertain you while giving you some really healthy and good information. So we're going to be doing a deep dive into what chlorine dioxide is, how it works, and so much more. So please enjoy the interview. Mr. Jonathan Otto, it is good to have you back on, man. I always look forward to our discussions. Actually, we have met in person and we have sat around and chatted, but I just feel like you're the kind of guy that I could have over for coffee at midnight and we'd be up until 5 a.m. just talking about everything. So thank you for being here, man.
Thanks for saying that. It means a lot to me. It's hard to find people that you can really fill yourself with in life often, and I think the reason why I just love having the conversations that we have is because you are dedicated to giving people answers and solutions. And what we're going to share today is holding back no punches, and there's nothing to gain here. We're talking about a very controversial subject that puts us both at risk, and so I think that people should really pay attention carefully and see the heart and intent behind this and your spirit. It's just infectious. That's why people love you and follow you, man. So let's do this thing.
That's great. So yeah, so today's topic, chlorine dioxide. Right now we're in this amazing time where a lot of treatments and cures for cancer and a lot of the big things that up until say a couple of years ago, your average person thought the only solution is chemotherapy or big pharma. But now there's just this mass awakening. It's just the public is opening up. Even to the point where Mel Gibson is talking about chlorine dioxide, ivermectin, fenbendazole on Joe Rogan. However, of all the different discussions that are happening, it still seems that chlorine dioxide, for some reason, is one of the most demonized and banned discussions. And I'd love to get your thoughts as to why that is.
Okay, so this is controversial for a few reasons. One is that it works. So that anything that works is a huge threat to the mega billion-dollar industries that profit from people's ignorance, profit from people's lack of options and the forceful nature of you can actually be tried as a criminal for not giving either yourself or your child the treatment that is designated when you have a cancer diagnosis, because we are going to talk about cancer and chlorine dioxide. And so that's a huge threat to the industry for people to treat at home by themselves and to rob that money, which they're not robbing because health is their birthright. And they probably the cancer was caused by something that an agency that had no care, like Monsanto or a company like Monsanto, Bayer, and what they've done with glyphosate as one of many examples, but they're often covering each other's backs, and all these things are causing cancer, and then they're forbidding the cures. So not only is it arguably one of the most, if not the most effective treatment for cancer. But secondly, it is the most accessible in that it is affordable, and it's a substance that is it's on the table of elements, sodium and chlorite, which are both salts. And chlorine dioxide is not chlorine. It's different, and it's a byproduct when sodium and chlorite are activated by hydrochloric acid, which is naturally in your gut, or citric acid. The universal accessibility of this is arguably the biggest threat because it costs nothing. And so, to give a comparison, for $20, somebody could have enough for a year. Or in the Universal Antidote documentary, they put forward $100 would be enough for a lifetime. And arguably, that's accessible to all. And that's a retail price, like, let alone the actual cost of just sodium and chlorite, which then makes it universally accessible. And that's the big problem to this industry, that therefore can't profit off our ignorance anymore. We have this accessible, it's within our reach. Think about a treatment that, let's say, if I could say this, I had 100% success rate in curing cancer. I'm not saying that. Let's say one thing had that, but it cost $50,000 to access it. Maybe 2% of the population could access that. I'm just saying numbers, but like, not many people can afford that. Everyone can afford this. This is why it's being done throughout Latin America and Africa, hence the Red Cross study. We'll probably talk about that with Jim Humble, with it being 100% effective against malaria. Who stands up against that of all people? I mean, I used to work for World Vision, a non-government organization that was in humanitarian aid. Red Cross stand up against people in Uganda and throughout Africa getting chlorine dioxide to prevent and to cure malaria, which claims millions of lives per year, with a treatment that costs nothing. Why did Red Cross deny that experiment or that case report existed? This is horrific to understand, that even non-government organizations are captured. And then to put the fear of God in people, they've threatened people beyond measure. And we'll talk about the criminal cases where people have been put in jail for this in America, and through these fraudulent trials, and then that puts the fear of God in people like you and me, and practitioners that are not willing to give it to their patients. They're great people, and I know lots of them. They're not willing to talk about this or do anything with it. That all of those things are an injustice, but none of them are relevant to anyone that's listening to this, because you're willing to talk about it. I'm willing to talk about this. So don't let that disempower you. Let that alert you to how important this conversation is.
Exactly. It's what they say, when you're over the target, right? You know it when you're over the target. How about, why don't you give us a quick disclaimer, right? That way, everyone knows that, we're not selling chlorine dioxide. We're not advocating for it and demanding people take it. So I'll let you give the quick disclaimer for the episode.
Yeah. Exactly. This is for educational purposes only and entertainment purposes only. We are not, myself and Seth, and we're not diagnosing, treating, or curing, or telling people that they should do chlorine dioxide as a treatment for themselves. We're giving information that is based on clinical studies that people can look at and consider, and you should consult with your local or designated healthcare provider to make your health decisions. We're here just to give you information and let us be what we are, and you can make your own choices. But we are exempt from that liability because of that premise.
There we go. Great. So I want to structure this discussion in the following kind of ways. First, get into what are some case studies, what are some of these studies that you've mentioned where we have some data of showing, is it effective? What can it do? What are the kinds of things it can treat? Then I want to look at like how it actually works. I want you to show us like how you mix it. Let's demystify it a little bit. And then I want to get into talking about the role of oxygen. And then we'll kind of go from there. But so first off, chlorine dioxide, give us like the quick elevator pitch of how you even consume it. And then we'll show the mixing a little bit later, but how do you consume it? Is kind of what it is, demystify a little bit. But then I want to dig into case studies and some of the actual studies that you're very familiar with, where it's been used in kind of a wide range of applications.
Absolutely. I'm excited about that. Let's 100% do that. And to throw a little spanner in your cogs right now, Seth, what if I tell you, uh, why don't we share some of the images so that people can then really witness that with their eyes, because sometimes people don't even really care. But we'll definitely do everything that you're talking about. But they want to. To me, they'll want to see some of the images that we have there. If you're fine to pull them up, and then I'll answer your question if that's all right with you.
Sure. I'll just give a quick kind of a warning is that these are images of open wounds. And so if you're squeamish or sensitive or you're watching this while you're eating your lasagna, I don't recommend that. If you have kids watching, you might want to tell them to close their eyes because, these are images of open wounds on people. So with that being said, so we've got two different sets of images. So I'll pull this one up here first. So what's going on in this picture? And
Carcinoma.
looks pretty serious.
So yeah, it's a carcinoma. So it's like a type of skin cancer, and the obviously you could see visibly the skin cells are there are not forming into normal healthy cells, and he doesn't look good. And if you didn't see the image on the right, some people are gonna like lose it looking at these images. They can't handle it. But just remember the story ends well. If you're having a hard time, just let your eyes go to the right and see like this guy didn't have surgery and his skin regenerated. And not only did the cancer go away by the topical use of chlorine dioxide, the internal use by drinking, and he may have done the enemas. And there are thousands of these case studies, and they're referenced in the book, for example, by Dr. Andreas Kalka, Forbidden Health, and they give specifics on these cases. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, great book, game changer. Yeah, and I love how simple that is. That was a lifesaver for my family, in multiple circumstances. My mother-in-law treating my father-in-law with COVID when his oxygen levels were plummeting, for COVID, with COVID, and then you could see it minute by minute, hour by hour, restore just in front of your eyes, because with these pulse oxes, you could just check it every hour, and you drink the chlorine dioxide, you watch your oxygen levels just go up, 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 up every hour. And then something where he could have then been hospitalized, intubated, and then he's out. And then my brother, not my brother-in-law, my brother, he was in Japan, and he had this acute appendicitis. He had an abscess. They couldn't operate. I flew my mom out from Australia to bring the chlorine dioxide because I couldn't find where to get it there, and I wanted him to have that support. And so I just, worked that out. And he came out of that without a surgery. In this case, they couldn't do the surgery anyway. He had a resolution of symptoms. He did do antibiotics as well, but the chlorine dioxide was clearly effective. So a game changer. So yes, that was a great image there. And so again, sorry to derail there, but there's a couple of things there of it's helping, and it's providing oxygen to these critical areas of the body. And you'll see in the next image with the breast cancer, and we'll show some more in the video form. Go ahead.
So just a quick question about this guy. So obviously there's a massive cancer growth on his face. Looks almost like he got hit with like a shotgun in the cheek or something. Like it's pretty serious looking. So was this one of Andrea Kalko's patients? Are you familiar with the specifics? Do you know, did he just take chlorine dioxide? Was there anything else? Because that's a very, very significant change.
Yeah, exactly. One of the challenges with a lot of these images, and you'll find the same thing in the video we're about to watch. When I sit down with Andreas Kalk, I've been with him in person here. We've been doing some various things together, and I'll pull up the cases, like, tell me more about this. And he's like, Jonathan, listen, there are tens or even hundreds of thousands of images like this, and we get them all the time, and we've verified so many of them. But like, yeah, for me to give you a case on that particular one, I can't give you all that information, but I can tell you the protocols that people use for carcinoma, or I can tell you the protocols people use for prostate cancer, and we'll go through those. So yeah, that's an important aspect. And some of these individuals, and one of the things that he was bringing to my attention was that, let's say if it was a child with cancer, there were certain circumstances where they would be threatened by their local governments, so that they would.
With the stock market at record highs, are you confident your portfolio can weather the next big downturn? Market corrections are quick and unforgiving, wiping out hard-earned gains in an instant. Smart investors know the key to financial security is diversification. That's why Noble Gold Investments makes it easy for Americans to hedge market volatility and protect their wealth with gold. Since 2010, central banks have steadily increased their gold reserves, and in 2024, gold prices soared over 25%. Gold is simple. You buy it, you own it, you control it. With over $2 billion in precious metals sales, Noble Gold Investments has helped thousands of investors diversify their portfolios with gold IRAs and physical gold. And now, when you open a qualified account, Noble Gold will gift you 2 5-ounce silver America the Beautiful coins as a thank you. So, folks, don't wait for the next downturn to catch you off guard. Visit goldwithseth.com or call 626-654-1906 today and see how easy it is to incorporate gold into your investment strategies. So again, that's goldwithseth.com or 626-654-1906.
Or even get their child taken off them or something like that when they had an autism case get completely reversed, like really shocking things like that. Some of the people were afraid to come forward. In most cases, or in a lot of cases, these people are coming forward, and I can show you the platforms where you can actually get all the details on these cases, where they will go through everything that they did and show their they'll show all their lab reports from their doctors, and I can show you those platforms where you can get all that information, you cross-reference it, and you look at that person and realize they got nothing to gain here. They're just telling, and these aren't CGI images. There's so many of them. I don't even know if CGI is at that level where it can look so real. What we're about to see with the videos, it's so real. You'll see it real time. Yeah, so anyway, that's an important line of delineation there, but you can get lots of details by going deeper into the individual cases. Sometimes you have to translate them from Spanish, as an example, because there are millions of people doing this, estimated around 10 million people around the world doing this, and a lot of them are in Latin America. So you could just then use translations, but a lot of these are translated or have the subtitles or closed captions.
And so walk us through, I'll scroll down to the next picture here. This is a woman who had, looks like pretty significant breast cancer. So walk us through what we're seeing here.
Yeah, so like the top left there, you'll see an image after that tumor's surfaced. And so there's another part of that, which we'll see in the video, where you'll see cases where it's actually surfacing, coming out, and then most importantly, then you're seeing a regeneration as you go from left to right to the bottom image on the far right, where you see complete regeneration here, and again without surgical incision. And topical use, most cases, a lot of cases, almost all the cases, they're all drinking the chlorine dioxide. I was actually just drinking it, even though you can't see what's in the glass and it's finished there, but I'll show more there. But yeah, so you have this concept of, I need to kill cancer, I need to get rid of this thing. And this is a really important mind shift that you can understand that what's happening here is much more than just getting rid of a cancer. It's giving the information to the body, and it really has so much to do with oxygen and electrons. It's both of those equally as important. Electrons, because that's electricity. The body is lacking information and the ability to communicate cell to cell, and this is arguably one of the major factors that's driving cancer. Yes, there's parasites, but they're interfering with that signal, so the body's not getting the information it needs. The cells aren't getting the information it needs. And then oxygen, the body's not getting the oxygen it needs to not only get rid of problems and cause apoptosis and destroy unhealthy and cancerous cells, but the ability to regenerate and to produce healthy cells. And you see that, look far right, you see regeneration, you see healthy cells, you see that this person looks like they've gone to a wellness clinic, and they've got some kind of regenerative therapy that's helped to replenish their skin and make it healthy again. And this is the exciting part about what we're talking about, Seth.
It's just incredible. And so I know that it's not easy to get data. Like, there's not, the NIH isn't full of peer-reviewed studies on chlorine dioxide. But, I know that you've talked to a lot of people that have been treating a lot of people with it, including Andreas Kalka, right? Who has done, am I correct in saying that he's probably one of the leading people in the world in terms of chlorine dioxide?
Yeah, no question. Yeah, because he dedicated 17 years of his life, the last 17, 18 years of his life to chlorine dioxide, and then established a foundation and has thousands of doctors working under his leadership. And then people are independently doing this. This is instituted in hospitals around the world, some hospitals, particularly in South America, Bolivia being an example of that. And then him being well respected, and him being asked to lecture at major universities around the world. And yeah, he's a biophysicist. He's German. He lives between Switzerland and Guadalajara, Mexico, with the foundation down there. But there is a lot more on the study of chlorine dioxide than what people realize, even on NIH data, which is surprising. And then the 17 years of experience they have is in publishing studies on chlorine dioxide, and having control groups that didn't take it, and for COVID, where they found it to be 99.99% effective, where and they're studies with over 1,000 people in them, not small, and so very, very substantial data.
And so, from what you've gotten from him, what is their success rate? I mean, I know, again, it's there's probably a lot of different data, but people are used to say, I'm not sure, you probably know what the success rate of chemotherapy is of someone living past a couple of years after treatment, but what's typical? Is it really something that is this magic thing, or is it like a lot of treatments where, hey, maybe you'll reduce your chance of dying within the next 5 years by 30%? Like, what's happening with this?
Yeah, they basically, Andreas, you hear him say the numbers that they are sitting at around 70%, between 60 and 70%. But the thing is, he's referencing data from the clinic where people typically have gone through all the other failed treatments. They come there as a last resort. They're almost all stage 4. And so he's talking about that data, which is super impressive then, for that to be after people are really left to die in most cases. A lot of people find about this too late, and that's why they're at these like clinics and the foundation, for example. But another interesting reference point was Roberto Perez. He's a layperson, and he is out of Puerto Rico, where I live, and he's the guy that's Andreas's right hand when he's here in Puerto Rico organizing all of that. He sees about 70 people twice a week in his home, and he's seen several thousand people. And these are anecdotal, but nevertheless important. When I was asking him, and he was very humble, and he was interested in all the other things I discovered, what he should add to what he's doing. But he said it's really shocking that what we're seeing is almost 100% success. And then when I went into specifics, like let's say breast cancer, then he would and he showed me cases where they were injecting chlorine dioxide directly into the breast but it wasn't him, it was with a physician. I won't even say who they are, but they're doctors here in Puerto Rico that are doing that and having tremendous success. But he said, like, of all the breast cancer patients I've seen, they all were in remission. And it's interesting. You see someone like Mel Gibson say something very anecdotally where he says they did these things, and he mentions the list that you just talked about, and then he says that they're all cancer-free and they all stage 4, and they all no longer have cancer at all. And so that's 3 for 3 for him, if he's telling the truth, which you even verified one of the cases because a doctor that was involved in one of the 3 cases. So we have data on this. It's not just all made up, and that's anecdotal, and we can go to where all the clinical peer-reviewed studies are on chlorine dioxide, because they do exist for various conditions. Also, the use of chlorine dioxide as an anti-venom, which is a 2017 patent, which is from actually Dr. Kalka. Lots of really great data.
So beyond cancer, what else is it useful for? Because we use it in our home, but why don't you explain? Because I think it's referred to as oftentimes like the miracle antidote, or there's even, didn't NASA even coin it? Something like that?
Yeah, exactly. They said it was a universal
antidote. Yeah. Yes. So what has chlorine dioxide been shown to treat?
Yeah. So you look at the history where you see somebody like Jim Humble, who was I, known as the discoverer of this, even though it's salt. And so the Bible talks about the importance of salt. As an example, I mentioned that be the salt of the earth. If the salt has lost its savor, it's good for nothing but to be trodden underfoot. So meaning that if salt has its savor, if it has its saltiness, if it's high in concentration, it's valuable. It's of great benefit. Why is that? Well, you're a saltwater being. So anyway, think about the significance of the importance of that, and why is it saying be the salt of the earth? Salt is bad, right? And yet, whenever anyone feels bad, they'll get put on an IV drip and they feel good immediately, which is just water and salt. Saline is water and salt. Your body runs off this. And so a high concentration in this case, like a 25%, is going to be extremely beneficial for electrons and oxygenation. But the conditions for which it can be used far-reaching, and this is where it'd be interesting to pull up the document to look at the documented conditions, symptoms, diagnoses that it's been effective for, that they have a case study on every single condition that's listed in this as we go into Forbidden Health and look at the index.
Yeah, so actually, here, this is the actual book itself. I've got, so the physical book I'm holding here, this is just the PDF. It's free. I'll put the link in the show description. But let's go back to, I think at the very beginning, where the table of contents, where you're looking at.
And you see Uganda there. That was the malaria study. So it's really, really great for people to have the history on that. Keep going. Yeah, there you go. So, chapter 4 is an example where you have all of these conditions in alphabetical order. There are 75,000 different diagnoses, so don't feel like if it doesn't have something you're dealing with that it's not going to work for you. How long would this book have to be to deal with all the diagnoses of Latin words that are really just coining symptoms that really don't tell you anything about the condition? This should just give people an idea of the fact that this truly is a universal antidote. But you should read some of the titles.
Well, yeah, it's just crazy looking at this: abscess, acne, allergies, Alzheimer's, anxiety, appendicitis, asthma, dandruff, dementia, depression, diarrhea, Ebola, Epstein-Barr. Erectile dysfunction, E. coli, influenza, fractures, crazy, cystic fibrosis, common cold, burns, bone cancer, breast cancer. This is like, it's almost like you're looking at a list of like, okay, what can kill you, right? Gout, heavy metals, headache, hernia, herpes, HIV, kidney cancer, leukemia, Lyme disease, lymphoma, malaria, meningitis, pneumonia, prostate cancer. It's just crazy that these are all within this book. Tumor, typhoid fever, tongue cancer, thyroid cancer, skin rash. It's crazy actually that these are all. So are you telling me that obviously, so these are all in his book. So
yes,
these are all things that he has case studies. And that's what this book is, right? So if someone was just to kind of pick up the book and flip through it, it's really just a giant list of case studies, right? So you go to one of these things like diabetes, right? And then you'll have the explanation, the symptoms, author's note, and then testimonials, right? So here's someone that I was 36 years old from Panama. Since 16, have health issues, continues. 6 weeks ago, I started treatment with MMS and citric acid. After 3 days, I began to feel a lot of energy. After a week, I noticed a tingling sensation at my feet and calves. After 15 days, I started recovering the sensitivity back in my fingers and feet. Continued, right? The wound is now dry. It's healed. So now you see a lot of references to MMS, which is you see within these. Here's lymphoma, right? Symptoms, getting into the symptoms of lymphoma, but then getting into some of the testimonials. So actually, here's the lymphoma right here, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Again, MMS. So here, for instance, this guy says, "Hello, my name is Rob. I was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin follicular lymphoma 4 years ago. I just found out about MMS. And I'm giving it a chance. I don't have the results yet, but I'm feeling very confident. On the other hand, I have had a chronic shoulder and back problems for the past 30 years. I've been taking MMS for a week, and the pain in my shoulder and back area is significantly diminished." So it's just interesting. So walk us through like what's MMS and how is it referenced? So MMS versus CDS.
Absolutely. So MMS is miracle mineral solution. So the name sounds a little funny for some people, but it's because Jim Humble was this kind of savant explorer, interesting guy who was in Africa, hence some of the discovery there, the Red Cross study that never happened with malaria. And that was the best kind of thing that he could come up with. And it was actually Kerry Rivera, who's referenced at the start of the book. And that was where he, talked about 1,000 cases of autism where children were nonverbal becoming completely verbal. And I met with a mother that was a medical doctor, is a medical doctor here it was actually in San Juan. It was probably a year and a half ago. And her child was nonverbal till age 10. And he was vaccine injured. He's 23, was 25 now, but 23 at the time when I was talking with her, he'd completed a university degree. His life was completely normal. And he was completely dysfunctional as a child at age 10, being nonverbal by that point. So that gave a lot of hope. Anyway, so it was Kerry Rivera. Sorry, I kind of digress. She talked to him, and Kerry was the one that was spearheading all the work on autism. And so he references her and says of the work that she'd done with chlorine dioxide with autism being monumental. And she had encouraged Jim Humble to make it sound a little less strange to people, like MMS. Hence, she urged for it to be called chlorine dioxide, just for it to be called by its name, chlorine dioxide. And then Dr. Andreas Kalka, as he developed a way to off-gas it to make it even more gentle, but arguably equally as effective, though Kerry Revere would say that the straight mixture of the MMS, which she calls the CD protocol, and she has a book for that, for autism, is the most effective, for example, for children with autism. But the CDS was really what Dr. Kalka brought to the fore to show people how to off-gas it. So it was extremely gentle. And then it became, again, about a protocol, which it was as well with Jim, where people were drinking it throughout the day to keep a constant stream of what the body needs for oxygen continually, to the point where even the most recent protocols were doing enema drips while people were sleeping. And in a 3-week period, they would see stage 4 cancer patients get amazing results and even remission in that short period of time, which is almost kind of too much to say or to verbalize, but they would see that consistency there. But the chlorine dioxide solution, CDS, was the off-gassing, which will show people how to do this, because anyone that ever has anything negative to say on chlorine dioxide would really just say that about maybe taking too high concentration in too short a time period and then feel a bit of nausea and maybe vomit. And that would be a reason for people then to get discouraged. But he found a way to make that super gentle for the body. Hence the different names, but you'll see in the book, because MMS was still the way it's known, you'll see so many of the testimonials are referring to it by that name. So it's kind of based on what people's knowledge is. And there a lot of the cancer cases throughout the book, if you read all the testimonials, the majority of all of them are where the people report going into complete remission, and they give the specific markers for what happened with their lab reports. So that's important for people to know too.
And so walk us through, what does it look like? How does it work? Because I know that, you're a big fan of it, and you're often, we'll be chatting or something, and you'll have a cup of it next to you, like on a Zoom call. And it's like, oh yeah, there you go, with your MMS or your CDS. So, let's further demystify it. Like, show us what it is. How do you make it?
Awesome. All right, here we go. Get chemistry class with Jonathan and Seth. And some point you could flick through as well. Maybe after I do this, you could show that video as well, so people can see some of these other tumor cases in video form as well, if you're down for that. Okay, so I've got sodium chloride, which is this one here. This is in German because I got this in Switzerland, this particular one. I was in Kenya doing food famine relief and long-term sustainability. We had a girl that was bitten by a scorpion. We used this. It worked extremely effectively. She was in a bad state, and they do often die from scorpions that size. And she was like nothing happened to her within a few hours. Again, it's anecdotal, but it's a great case study. She also did use nicotine as well, and another therapy. But these things go together really well. So, okay, so now sodium chloride here. And yeah, and the reason why I was in Switzerland, I was meeting my wife. We went to a marriage retreat on the way back, and I'd given out all my chlorine dioxide, so hence why I've got this in German. And I was feeling pretty flat, actually very flat, needing a lot of naps, and then that just went away as soon as I was, hey, Andreas, do you have a contact here in Switzerland? I know this is where you're based. And so he had a friend that I could purchase it from. I don't sell chlorine dioxide. I educate on it, and Seth doesn't either. So we want to protect people, and we'll talk about Mark Grennan and his three sons and that horrific case where they got put in jail. That's an important thing for people to know. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is, if I just did this straight, like, okay, I'm just going to put, say, 3 drops of sodium chloride, and now I'm going to get the hydrochloric acid, and you can see that it's just clear. But now if I put 3 drops of, I think I did 3. Again, people shouldn't be so freaking out. And notice how it goes yellow if they do a slightly different dose, because it's just salt. But if I was to drink this straight right now, it would taste kind of strong, and it wouldn't be pleasant. But now I can water this down, and I could drink this straight like this, and that's what you've been doing, Seth.
Yeah,
Right.
that's how I've been doing it. That's how my wife has been doing it, where we'll do that little mix in a little small cup. You let it sit for a minute or so, and then I'll pour it into like a big ball jar of water. And it has a little bit of a chlorine smell to it. Like especially if it's fresh, you can smell it. But you just drink it, and it's not, it's actually like drinking, like, city water, right? Which has a bunch of chlorine in it, which is kind of crazy, because like they say it's so bad, but if you look at your city water, it's like, you take a bath in that stuff, and you're absorbing like straight chlorine, and all kinds of other just terrible stuff, fluoride, who knows what. But anyway, that's how we have it. But you have a different way of making it, which is how Andreas actually suggests to make it, right?
Yeah. And it's a great way for people to do it, because it gives you the benefits without it then at that point it just tastes like water, right? So that, and you haven't even tried that yet, so it'll be a great addition then, because if you ever start like feeling like, oh, I don't know if I like this taste, I still got the taste in my mouth, you've got that option to do it in that way. However, referencing back to someone like Carrie Rivera, I would take her advice on that and say, no, that is this way, like this, just drinking this with a glass full of water and drinking this down and doing that throughout the day is the way to do it. For example, for autism, and for some other acute cases, it is a bit stronger. Whenever they're talking about MMS in the book, this is generally how they're doing it. So if anyone's getting in their head and they're like, I couldn't be bothered doing all that stuff, then you can do it the simple way. It's working. It's been very effective for you and your family. But that's that. So you could just add that to water, like a glass of water, drink that 3 drops. That's a very mild dose, and you could do that periodically through the day. If I make up a lot of this, or there's a lot in here and I'm sniffing on it, it could make people short of breath. So that because of the off-gassing of it. So, but it's not enough for me to tell people to be worried about it. I'm often just making sure, is this like, if you can see the color, it means it's active. If there's no color, it means it's not active. It is UV sensitive. If I put this in sunlight, you'll see it all vaporize, and it will look like there's a smoke machine that has got turned on. But that's a good thing for people to understand the oxygenating effect of that. You can see even this glass, maybe it's fogging up a bit just from that. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to do this. This is how to prepare it. So you need a jar that you can seal, okay? And you guys are gonna like look at this, and if there's a better description, this is good. This is enough. But you could go into Rumble and look up how to make CDS, and you'll see Dr. Kalka talk about this. But I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna repeat what he's doing, and so you can go through that process. So firstly, he's putting, and this is a plastic bottle, so plastic, not great, but it's not going to stop the effectiveness of this. It's roughly 350, 300 milliliters, and he references that in the video. He's not necessarily measuring that as specifically. This part he is. Now, it's this simple, and it's just repeating what I'm about to do twice. Now I'm going to take, and I'm going to actually just make this, and I'm actually going to use this later, but it's not immediately. It's going to take a bit of time. But so now I'm going to put 5 mils of one of the solutions. Let's say this is part A. This is And you see that I just got that up to 5 mils. This is the hydrochloric acid. Now I'm going to put that in the shot glass so I can measure that. So I've already put the 3 drops, so ignore that. It's not really a big difference. So I've already put that in. Now here's the sodium chloride. Now I'm going to put 5 mils of this. Now I'm going to put that in the shot glass. It's turning an amber color. Now I'm going to put that in this jar. This is the first time I've done this on a illustration video. I do this for myself. I reference people in the video, but I do this all the time, but the first time I've done it in the video. Now I'm going to seal this and put that in a cabinet in the dark for 12 hours. And so as you can see that it's off gas. It's going to off gas. It's not directly making contact. Now I put this in a cabinet in the dark for 12 hours. I pull this out and I don't use what's in the shot glass. I take this out, throw this out, or use this for cleaning. Look at it, how amber that's going. Okay, now this is now going to be a yellow color, which I'll show in a bottle over here. I now repeat and do the exact same thing. 5 mils of each of these back in the shot glass, put it back in, close the lid, put it in the cabinet for 12 hours. That's completed a 24-hour cycle. This now is going to be a 3,000 parts per million chlorine dioxide, of which, this is the important part, don't drink all this. You only take 10 mils of this. This is the important part. You only take 10 mils of this, which is going to look like this. This is now the made up solution. And I'm going to take 10 mils of this, put this in a liter of water and drink that 10 times through the day. I could move that from 10 mils up to 30 mils. And that is, and if somebody was on their deathbed, he does have like a terminal, like this person is dying type protocol, which is 80 mils. So, which I've done before, but I wouldn't do that unless you felt like there was some extreme thing where somebody was like, they needed that amount of oxygen and electrons in a very acute state. Otherwise, you would just put 10 to 30 mils. And 30 mils to me is great. It's very therapeutic. And then you then put that in a liter of water and drink that. And that's that. I did that very non-measured, and I've put some in this glass or ceramic cup. And now I'm going to drink a little bit of this. I can't taste it. Even that much, which is a lot. That was a lot comparatively, because that I put a pretty decent drop. It was probably maybe 5 mils, but it was only in a cup of water, and I can't even taste it. I can't tell the difference. Now, if you're having a child, I'm not saying that children should drink it or anything like that, but the way that the children that do it, they have a straw and they have the bottle sealed so that they can't smell it if that's an aversion. So because some of the children, like let's say with autism, they're very sensitive, like they don't want to smell something, they don't like it, and so yeah, so that's as simple as it is.
I also know that because I've talked to a few different doctors before when, for getting advice on things, and some of them have even said that you can put it in bath water, right, for a child. So they're not even consuming it, but they just absorb it through their skin in the bath water. And so walk us through why is it so effective, right? And this is one of the questions, like, what is the role of oxygen in this? And why is it that just this one solution, just with how it relates to oxygen primarily, if I understand correctly, why is that so important? And how is it that one thing can be such a universal antidote?
Yeah. Firstly, we just shouldn't have disease. That it should be a shock to us that disease exists. What is it that the body lacks that disease even exists in the first place? And if the body has what it needs, there shouldn't be disease. And so the things that it needs is, generally speaking, food, water, and oxygen, and yes, movement, but they all relate. But those are the things that your body needs and uses to survive and thrive. So you could live perhaps a few months without food, depending. You could live a few weeks. So you could live a few months without food, a few days without water. And how long could you live without oxygen?
3-4 minutes, 5 minutes, even before you start having brain damage.
Oh yeah. Okay. Wow. Yeah. Exactly. And so I'm a diver, and so I'm lucky to be able to hold my breath for a minute and a half, as an example, underwater. And so yeah, absolutely. These are your body needs oxygen so bad, not just so that you can live. Because you don't think about this. The oxygen is critical for every area of the body. So then, how does this relate to oxygen? Well, when you take a solution like what I just did was referred in the book as Protocol C, as in CDS, as in chlorine dioxide solution. Doing that, like, which is about 10 times a day, using 10 mils in a liter of water, up to 30 mils in a liter of water, drank about 10 times a day during the waking hours, then you're delivering about 10,700,000 oxygen molecules, wait for it, for every single red blood cell in the body.
Incredible. So
Yeah,
10 over 10 million oxygen molecules for every, you
correct.
see, red blood cell.
Correct.
And so
Correct.
what does that do? Like why,
Yeah.
like why get, I mean, obviously, our whole breathing apparatus, our lungs, the blood, it's all about, not all, but primarily it's about carrying oxygen to our cells, right? So what happens when you drink this solution, which somehow brings this massive amount of oxygen into your bloodstream, into your body, into all your cells? Like, why is it so effective?
Yeah. So there's a reason why people are doing hyperbaric chambers, and they're working and they're effective. And it's one of the mainstays for any cancer clinic, as an example, because they're seeking to elevate the amount of oxygen that's getting into the body. Because for whatever reason, while we're breathing, firstly, most people aren't breathing deep enough. That's a good point to make here. And if you look at the animals that live longest, it's the ones that have the ability. I'm making a generalization, but you'll see this example where these animals that have the ability to hold their breath for long periods of time, they do live longer. The naked mole rat, like I believe it's 18 minutes, and yes, and then whales and turtles, and that's an interesting. Like people like watch Nemo, like, how old are you, man? Like, I'm 150 years old, dude. Um, and and so anyway, it's surreal to think about these creatures that because turtles don't breathe underwater, but they anyway, I don't want to go down too deep down. Like it's going to boggle people's minds. It's kind of interesting and fascinating and amazing. But the ability for the body then to be able to absorb through deep breathing, being able to hold your breath. And that's why this breathing work is related to a lot of disease reversal as well. When people look into that breath work and people being able to deep breathe and through the belly instead of chest breathing, their risk factors for all different diseases will go down. Now, why is this then different and specific? And the answer is that in this case, what's happening is that because the sodium and chloride, these electrolyte minerals, they're measured in picometers instead of nanometers. So they're even smaller. So there's 1,000 picometers in a nanometer. And so like roughly, I think about 270 picometers for sodium as an example. What's happening is they go through the cells and they're delivering oxygen directly into the cells. So intracellular, the cells are getting oxygen. And so whenever you're thinking about the body and the ability for something, like you're looking at, say, nutrients and hoping that you're going to get them in, and that your body will be able to digest this properly. And if your digestion's bad, then you're not going to absorb everything you think you're getting. But this is it's like a bypass where you're getting it directly into the bloodstream, and it's crossing cell membranes and oxygenating the cells. When the cells have oxygen, they function properly. They can do what they need to do. They heal, they regenerate. So it's less about disease and more about normal function, which then creates an environment in which disease can't exist. And it parallels with something that we've been talking about quite a lot, which is red light therapy, which is another oxygen therapy, but it's very specific with specific reactive oxygen species. And the clinical studies on red light therapy are a slam dunk. Like there's almost nothing that has more validity and backing behind all different types of diseases than red light therapy. And if you put into like Google, what is the reason why all these cancer studies, the people are going into remission on red light therapy, that in clinical studies on PubMed, what's the mechanism? And it will tell you specifically red light therapy produces electromagnetic waves that go through the body and cause the body to produce reactive oxygen species that are highly reactive and target disease cells and cause apoptosis, which is programmed cell death of unhealthy cells. And it's the oxygen that is created in the body through red light therapy, which is your body producing it in the presence of a stimulus. So that's a parallel there that caused, a deep understanding of that process that's fundamentally lacking in most, if not all, humans today. And this is how people are getting better.
Just an interesting thing to think about is that when a cell is deprived of oxygen, it dies. So what happens if a cell has the opposite of deprivation? What happens if a cell is given? Now, I mean, it's not always the case, right? Like you could say that, yeah, if you don't drink water, you die. But what happens if you drink 10 gallons in an hour? You also die, right? So there's certain instances where the opposite isn't always true. But if depriving a cell of oxygen kills it, is it correct then that actually taking and putting a bunch of oxygen into that cell is what enables it to heal itself?
Yes, exactly. It's giving the body what it needs, and it clears out then senescent cells, which are zombie cells, because the presence of oxygen in the body then causes the death of diseased cells that need to turn over, and feeds the healthy cells with what they need to communicate and to function. And then you're doing both of those, because you're sick and tired and lethargic and diseased because your cells are sick and tired and lethargic and diseased. And because of this, if we can correct the cellular function, we correct the system. And so and parallel to the oxygen is the electron conversation, which is when you're delivering electrons, flooding the body with electrons, they counter the excess protons in the body, and there's this imbalance. And so your body needs it conducts electricity. You're like a battery. Once people work this out, it's fascinating, because your body then needs the stimulus to be able to communicate cell to cell, and it needs electrolytes to do this. Otherwise, the chain is broken, the signal's not going, and then you're saying, I've got this symptom, this problem, and then you're trying to mask that instead of realizing that there's low voltage in the body. The body is not then able to do normal functions. You're tired because there is not enough electricity. So fuel that consistently, and that's the point of helping people. This is not about just wiping something out. And notice this is already off-gassing. It's already going. Notice you guys saw that before. Pretty cool, right?
Wow. Yeah.
That wasn't a magician's trick. I didn't just add something, it's just, it's off-gassing. It's going in. And you notice the top, it's all vaporizing there. And I'm going to take the lid off. Watch what happens here. Let's see. Woo. All right. Is that cool?
See, this is entertainment, right? We're not giving medical advice. We're entertaining with magic tricks. That's what's going on here.
There you go. Exactly.
So you mentioned,
I'm not guilty.
You mentioned red light. I pulled this study up. I just did a quick search for red light and cancer. This is a NIH kind of publication here. It says red light phototherapy using LED inhibits melanoma proliferation and alters tumor microenvironments. And so, is it the same? So we've spent a lot of time obviously talking about chlorine dioxide, but how it's fundamentally it's about giving your body the oxygen it needs and the electrons it needs. And so, is it common that people will use CDS in conjunction with something like red light? And tell us a little more about that angle.
Yeah, absolutely. And yes, absolutely. So this is great. This is a great example of that. And it's using the light emitting diodes, LEDs. The reason is because they're delivering the most amount of light versus heat, and about 90% of the power is going into the light. And because the light is the critical factor to feed the mitochondria to produce adenosine triphosphate, which is the energy powerhouse. So there is an interesting, slightly different mechanism, which makes them extremely complementary. And so yes, there's a lot of people that are doing these in combination. They naturally will do it in combination because red light is emitted by the sun, and all different types of light emitted by the sun, particularly the sunrise and the sunset, where it's red is where you're getting that. But the reason why people why do the cancer studies, for example, show these, and I'll cite some of these shocking examples with red light therapy. Why are they so starkly different from, for example, people that maybe have battling a chronic condition like cancer and they're in the sun a lot and not even maybe using sunscreen so it's getting through the body? Why do they not get some of these same results that we're seeing in these clinical studies? And the answer is there is a closeness that you're getting with that light. The irradiance is so much higher, which is the amount of milliwatts delivered per centimeter squared, is so much higher when you're using a device that's using LEDs. And I'm actually super grateful that, like, you go back to the 1900s when the first Nobel Prize was won for light therapy by Niels Finsen, and you fast track to now. It's because of the technology development we were able to take what's happening with the sun, but then put it into something that allowed us to get that at such a high density without it being harmful, then to produce the reaction in the body that the body needs. And so, like, we talked about oxygen. Think about this. Singlet oxygen is produced by your own body in the presence of red light. Now, what's amazing about this is that singlet oxygen is so powerful and it's so lethal that it's used to intercept a missile in an airborne missile. Singlet oxygen has been used by the military. Look up examples, these, shooting these lasers that are fluorescent red and wiping out and, making explosions. And so there are explosions happening inside the body with singlet oxygen. And if you look at any cancer study like this one, you may even see the word singlet oxygen even in that study, and you just put it into Google and you'll see that that's the premise by which they even approach this, because they're saying, okay, well, let's try red light therapy then for prostate cancer or breast cancer or colon cancer or lymphoma or lung cancer. Let's try it. Let's see what happens. And the premise is because, if this causes the body to produce reactive oxygen species that's specific to the body, your body is making it for you, then that could clear out the cancer. And this is an example of where you see the prostate cancer study that was done it was a European study. It was 413 participants, 49% go into remission in the 2-year period. These guys are doing, outside of that, most likely all the conventional therapies, some of which are taking the lives of the participants, like chemo, surgery, radiation for prostate cancer. 2-year study. The control group that didn't do the red light therapy is 13.5%, which shows that it was a 4 times higher survival rate if you were using just red light therapy in augmentation to what you were doing. In this case, arguably, it was completely clinical and traditional medicine, which a lot of your viewers would not opt for that, and they would see the likelihood of survival being much greater if they also did chlorine dioxide or mistletoe or methylene blue in conjunction with the red light, or ivermectin, fenbendazole. And now people are thinking, and that's really what Mel Gibson was referring to. He ended up accidentally referring to a well-pronged system that was targeting different aspects of the body. You can't just go and kill parasites and think you've solved the problem when you've not dealt with the issue of your body's ability to clear out cancer cells by producing reactive oxygen species. That's the premise. That's the holy grail of all therapies. And it's why, as well, with the clinical study on breast cancer, where they used 4 different wavelengths of red light, and they found that it was 660, and that was the only one that could do it. But it dropped breast tumor proliferation, meaning the replication, the growth of that tumor, by 40% in only 24 hours. And it was in a human cell line, and it was an in vitro study, which means it was done in a petri dish, and hence why you'll see me reference human studies. And this is a human study, but live participants and in vitro studies like this. And it was in both triple negative and non-triple negative breast tumor cell lines. Amazing results with that, using red light therapy in such short periods of time, getting those results. And one that we've talked about as well a couple of times was the lymphoma pilot trial from 2006, which is on PubMed, which it's shocking that we have access to this on mainstream platforms, where they have 3 participants, and only 3, all 3 go into remission in 1 week after 2 sessions of photobiomodulation, which is coined as photodynamic therapy because they added a photosensitizing agent. And in this case, they used aminoleuvolinic acid. The ones that are easy to get a hold of are the methylene blue, curcumin, berberine. Combining these are really powerful. And of course, to me, I'm such a fan. I think chlorine dioxide is it's a go-to because it just does so many, it helps so well. And these are complementary therapies.
So I've got 2 short, 1-minute videos that just kind of help round out the overall discussion about light in general and the power of the sun. And now ultimately, I think that if all of us had the right access to sun, if there weren't chemtrails covering the sun up, and we were getting out that and hitting that low angle sun, right, that morning and that evening sun, right, where you're hitting these wavelengths, that would be the best. But I have one video here I'm going to show. This is a guy talking about 3 reasons why getting low angle sunlight is so important. So I'll play this really quickly, and I have another one about sunglasses. So check this out.
3 reasons why getting early morning, low angle sunlight into your eyes is so important. Number 1, early morning sunlight contains a very specific wavelength that stimulates a specific area in your brain that basically reboots your circadian rhythm and resets your day-night cycle. This improves your sleep, your overall alertness, and your mood. Number 2, morning sunlight stimulates cortisol release, and it stimulates it at the right time. Cortisol is the wake-up hormone. This improves your overall metabolism, it improves your immune function, and your overall sense of alertness. Number 3, when you get low angle sunlight into your eyes, the retina stimulates your brain to release serotonin and dopamine, which are the feel-good neurotransmitters. This improves your overall mood, your level of alertness, as well as your overall cognitive function. So by simply getting up early and watching the sunrise, you can support your body's natural rhythms, improve your mood, and enhance your overall cognitive function. If you enjoy this type of content, please.
So that's interesting because, for me, for instance, we live in the woods. I don't get sunlight coming in through my windows until probably 10 or 11 a.m., right? Because we've got big trees all around us. But he mentioned that specific wavelength. I know that, in previous discussions, we've brought up, charts that show the wavelength of the sun at different times of the day. And I know that a lot of the red light therapies simulate the exact same wavelengths of the sun at different specific periods. And so I'm thinking, gosh, we've got red light panel at home. We have one of the big ones. And thinking, gosh, I should be doing that every morning. Like waking up, going and laying and looking into the red light. But I'm going to play one other video here, which is really, really interesting, about the link between sunglasses and your skin health and cancer. So look at this. This is also, again, showing you the power of light.
First introduced sunglasses started triggering a massive increase of cancers. It has everything to do with cancer. You are filtering out certain rays of the sun, which is supposed to enter. You're blocking them out. And the pineal gland, which receives the light in a different color formation, that means the entire spectrum of light, it is necessary for the body to have that light, the basic metabolic processes. Also, you have to allow UV light to come in. When you do that, you are producing a hormone in the brain that is responsible for the melanin production in your skin. So that's where your skin protection occurs. If you are not producing that, your skin becomes susceptible to even sunlight. Let's say you wear sunshades. The body thinks it's dark outside.
Okay.
And it doesn't make that hormone that is responsible for producing the melanin to protect your skin. The light is needed. Every cell communicates with every other cell through light. Our cells require sunlight to grow, reproduce themselves, so that you have a new body constantly created over and over and over again.
So to me, both of those videos help. They give this whole different dimension to this in looking at our overall health. And think about how many people deal with skin cancer. Like I have family that they've had skin cancer before. They're so worried about cancer. They're putting sunscreen everywhere. They're wearing sunglasses, wearing a hat. But what we can see is actually it's the light that heals us. And what he says is fascinating is that your cells communicate through light. And so what are the similarities between, say, a red light panel and going out in the sun at the right time of day?
Yeah. So one, the thing that is great, and I'm so glad you're giving a stage to encouraging people to get into the sunlight. So one, everything I say and do, I want people to get back to nature, back to God, get back to the Garden of Eden, be grounded and get that sunrise, get that sunset. So in everything I say, I don't want to diminish that in any way. And so, then what would be the difference? And in somebody using red light therapy, what would even be the point? Because if you could get it from the sun, why would you bother? And the answer is because, one, it matters where you're positioned in the equator, for starters. So you have to be, and let's imagine that all the factors were right, where the angle of the sun, where you're positioned in the equator, where you are in the world, whatever the geography of the earth is, right? And so that's another topic. But where you're getting that, there is the sad part about the fact that we're not getting the intensity that we need when we're in these chronic states, and there's a reason why. I just cited some amazing studies. I wish that we had those with people just going out into nature and getting those, and they will get massive improvement, and they could expect some great health changes. But what we're finding is that when people are channeling the power of like a red light therapy device in their home, that the radiance is so much higher that it's allowing it's allowing that communication process to happen in a much more dramatic way, to the effect of, let's say, with light emitting diode therapy with eyesight, for example, one exposure in a clinical study, Dr. Andrew Huberman has talked a lot about this, 17% eye improvement after one session that lasted a week. But it was only effective if it was in the morning and if you're over 40 with myopia. So that was showing like basically you could unwind if you were older, your eyesight was going down. It had to be the morning though. If it was in the afternoon, it wasn't effective. But that was specifically with a light emitting diode. The intensity is so great, even though it's non-invasive and people don't experience side effects or challenges or pain. And the long COVID study was fascinating, where it was 62 participants with long COVID, which could be vaccine injuries. And I suspect that maybe as much as half of the people were vaccine injured cases. But in this study, as a European medical study, all 62, after 2 sessions of red light therapy using a panel, they went into complete remission of all acute symptoms of long COVID, which could be the vaccine injuries. And they specifically were dyspnea, memory problems, executive problems, digestive issues, and oxygen levels under 97%. They went to a resolution of all acute symptoms within 2 sessions that were longer than normal, which was 64 to 84 minutes long. Now, after 2 more sessions, all 4 happened within 1 week, all but 2 out of the 62 had complete remission of every symptom, in all the categories I mentioned, including mental illness, and it listed it as emotional deficits. And the other 2, I suspect, considering their acute symptoms were solved after the first 2 sessions, they clearly were responding. I suspect in the following week, they also got better. Statistically, it would be hard to argue against me. So those results, and that's my example of showing you there is a stark contrast. And if you love the sun and you think it's amazing, then it's all the more reason to take that which God has made and have it in your home and allow your body to be fed in this way, because it's really just, you live in an age whereby things are getting sprayed and there's toxins in your home. Indoor air pollution can be up to 100 times more toxic than outdoor air. And so you live in a world where you live in a city, or even if you're in the country like you are, you're still exposed to so many things outside of your world. Even polar bears have heavy metals in them. And so we do need things to help us. And I don't think people need to spend tons of money. I don't think people need to like go crazy and like spend their life savings or anything like that. The cool thing about red light therapy, it ends up being cheaper than anything else that people can do, because it's a one and done. Any supplement, it's a reorder. So it's always, even the cheapest supplement will be more expensive than red light therapy. So they're the big kind of contrast between those therapies.
One other point I want to make is that the sun that we have access to is not the same access that we had 100 years ago, right? So I'll pull up this one article here. This plans to cool the earth by blocking sunlight are gaining momentum, but critical voices risk being excluded. Solar geoengineering research is advancing fast, right? So this is the thing, is that there's so many times when I go outside, on a day, it should be a beautiful 75 degrees sunny day, but there's that thin layer of chemtrailing even the high altitude chemtrailing, and you can tell the sunlight's different. And so this is my concern too, is because when they're spraying all this stuff, right? So they're talking about here, solar geoengineering refers to proposals, they're not proposals, they're doing it, to reduce global warming by reflecting a portion of sunlight back into space before it reaches Earth's surface. Its best known form, this means using high flying aircraft to inject tiny reflective particles into the upper atmosphere. This is called stratospheric aerosol injection, aka chemtrailing, right? And so I've also heard, my wife has told me studies before about people that are, say, truck drivers that oftentimes get cancer on one side of their body, but they'll get cancer on the arm sitting next to their window of their vehicle, which is blocking certain parts of the sunlight and only letting certain parts coming through. So you have these UV protecting, like you have UV protection glasses or UV protecting sunscreen, and a lot of the car windows are UV protecting as well. And so when they're filtering, they're not getting the right kind of sunlight. And so this also might be one of the reasons why, even if someone is getting a lot of sunlight and not wearing sunglasses, they might be seeing skin cancer because they're not getting the full, it's almost like they're putting sunglasses in the sky and they're not letting the sun's full spectrum come and get to us. So to me, this is another reason why we've got red light here, because I want access to the core light as much as I'd love to be, out at 6 a.m. frolicking nude through the yard, getting sunlight. You just can't do it, right? You don't get that in a lot of cases. So anyway, I thought that was an interesting part to the overall discussion as well.
I'm really glad you brought it up. I was going to touch on it, but that detail is so helpful, and it's shocking. And Seth says all that not to make people afraid of the sun. This benefit, even with all those things happening, there's still amazing benefit with the sun, and yet there is. It does give us the opportunity then to say, how do I assist this? And I live in a home, and how do I do this? And so these things go together so well, and so you can get that sunlight exposure, but people can get sun damage as well. So you got to kind of be careful with how long you're in the sun. I wish that weren't the case, but even animals know how to get out of the sunlight. But with the interesting thing with the red light therapy is it helps to repair the body from sun damage.
Well, that's the study I pulled up. Right? Red light, phototherapy inhibits melanoma proliferation. So it's kind of crazy that, say you do have skin cancer because you're a truck driver, or the guy described you're wearing sunglasses all the time, that the pure red light from a red light panel actually can undo what they've done to us through geoengineering or convincing everyone to wear sunglasses, et cetera. I mean, it's pretty amazing to put all this stuff together. And so, as we're rounding out the discussion, we spent a lot of time talking about CDS. I know you don't sell CDS. I don't sell CDS. If someone wants to buy
CDS
without necessarily saying, okay, hey, here's what you should do, where should folks start if they're looking for CDS?
Yeah, sure. So there's a few different options, and they're all really the same thing if they're within the concentration of about 22 to 28%. This one here that I have is 24%. And so you can just look up, even though I'm not like a big supporter of Amazon as an example, but I just want to tell people that it is readily accessible in like a lot of parts of the world, including America. And it's surprising that it's able to be sold, but it's not sold as a medical intervention. It's like a water purifier in that sense. Because remember how all the diseases went down after chlorine got put in the water. That's true, right? So, but chlorine is bad, but chlorine dioxide is not harmful. So hence why it's able to be sold in that fashion. So you can find various companies that have it. Yeah. And to me, all of these are fine because they match the parameters, and Dr. Kalka would tell you the same thing. And there's a group there, KV Lab. I've often referred people to kvlab.com to show people where to get it there, and you can get it. That's mixed up already, so that's like not taking the step I did, but it will cost quite a bit to do it that way. So if you learn that skill, which I would say is easier than flipping a pancake or making a pancake, then and then you'll save a ton of money. Or you can do it the other way, which we showed at the start, which is just combining the drops. But all of these are examples. They all have between 24 to 28% concentration. There's one for like the bath, for example, there where I know some people are using that particular one for the bath and dropping those into the bath. And in the book, Forbidden Health, which you're going to provide a link to, which people can download free on like through an archive, it says there's protocol L for lavatory, for bath. There's protocol E for enema. Those three are the easiest to do: the enema, the drinking, and the bathing. And it's relaxing. And if you've got a hot tub, you could use that instead of the harmful chlorine, or so forth. Particularly even the one that we just showed there for a moment. So great opportunities with that. And you're just going to see, like, anyone that does this they're going to say that it made a huge difference. Like my company, for example, like people learn about things, but many of them have battled different autoimmune conditions. They're all writing in or, on calls bragging about how much this helped them, even though they did it wrong and imperfectly. So just don't let that be an obstacle, because you're learning something new. Don't let great be the enemy of good, because it doesn't need to be perfect. And people like Seth know that. They just get started. He reaches out to me. I'm the guy that just, learns, researches. I'm an investigative journalist. Sure, that's great. But at the end of the day, I'm an action taker. That's what makes me a leader. And be the same, be an action taker.
And so what about red light therapy? Obviously that, again, like that's what we use almost daily. Actually, yesterday it was a great protocol that I did. I worked out. I did a really good workout. I took a cold shower, and I did workout, and then I did red light therapy for about 15 minutes or so. First 5 minutes I was kind of staring into it, try to help my eyes. And then I did a cold shower, but I have one of the red light ball caps, right? Because I need my hair to look nice for the Man America show. So I've got a red light hair cap as well. But where do folks find the red light therapy? And if someone wants looking to get started on that, where should they start?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you can see, I'm somebody that wants to always give people information so they can make great informed choices. And so I have a red light company that we offer. You can do the research yourself. And I believe you'll find what we've found, which is that we're offering the best products that are on the market. But here are the parameters to look for, because you need to know to look for these, and then use that litmus test to measure me against whoever, right? So one, it needs to have the irradiance level that is going to match what we're talking about in the clinical studies, which means the amount of power delivered. And now, even the really expensive devices, $150,000 devices, they often are well under 100 milliwatts per centimeter squared, either at the surface or at 3 inches. To me, that's sad. And I think that, what's happened there is that a lot of the companies haven't kept up with the evolving technology that's caused the ability to have higher irradiance. And for example, we're using 42 mil chips. And because of that, and anyone hearing this that's even heard about red light therapy hasn't even heard of those parameters. So these are important factors that then, from that premise, that makes sense now why we're at a 205 milliwatts per centimeter squared at 3 inches, right? Twice that, which I just cited. For example, even the expensive clinics that you'd pay $200 a session for are using devices that are not as powerful as the ones that you could buy for a fraction, like literally a tiny fraction of that. Then the wavelengths is the next thing to look for. Then you'd look for, what are the wavelengths that I need? Like I mentioned, 660 was the only one that could drop breast tumor proliferation, but a lot of people by 40% in 24 hours. So you'd want one then that had 660 if you had breasts, but men have breasts too, but just not the same type of breast. But what is interfacing with the body, what wavelengths. And in this case, we've got 9 different wavelengths, which is specifically 480, which is blue. And so you have to relearn a couple of things there. Blue light that is from a non-flicker source, so a constant source, is extremely good for circadian rhythm, skin rejuvenation, neonatal care, babies in the womb, and arguably the best. And acne, it will clear skin bacteria better than anything else, but it's only a small concentration. It's about 1.5% in the device that we offer, and that we manufactured and developed which is fitting all the parameters, FDA Class 2 certification, all the safety parameters that are essential, which are all listed there on the page. But then 590, which is an orange yellow light, which is amazing again for skin, smaller concentration of that. Then all the red, 630, 660, 670, 810, 830, 850, and 1060, which once it goes over 800, that's near infrared, so you can't visibly see it. And that's getting into the deep penetration, lungs, brain, all the clinical studies on anything that goes deeper. They're all using the near infrared layers, and a lot of them are using the red at the same time. And in what we've done, the next thing to look for, so the wavelength. So most of those beds, for example, are only offering 2 wavelengths. Most devices are only offering 2. It's missing the mark. This is kind of replicating the sun and at the same time giving the concentration that people need. If people think that they're getting a better thing by using incandescent bulbs or halogen bulbs, it's better for heating the body, and that's why you can use saunas like that, but they're nowhere near as good. There's no comparison. There's no clinical studies, like I just mentioned, on halogen bulbs doing what I just talked about with cancer, because they don't interface with the mitochondria. They heat the body, but they don't feed the mitochondria. Okay, so that's the wavelengths. The dual LED is the other thing to look for, which is super uncommon. So out of one LED, you'll see 2 different lights. You'll see both the red and the near infrared coming out of the same light, which causes an even depth. So let's say if you're dealing with 288 LEDs, that's 576. So you're getting, it's like double the size, but it's better than being double the size because you're getting more of those critical wavelengths evenly spread throughout the body. And that's what we're offering there. And then it's, so they're the things that I would say to look for. And we're the only ones doing it like this, which is great, because we just want to be leaders. There are other things out there that are good, but this is great. And it's really worth that because we're competitive with that anyway. Like we're often much lower prices than the competitors anyway. So it just makes a no-brainer. We've just got a big mission. So our mission has always been to like give the savings back to people. But in terms of where to go, that would be myredlight.com. And we've got awesome discounts there on the page, and that you can activate an additional discount with using the code SETH, SETH, which everyone knows how to spell, and that will activate those discounts. And we've got like some great things there, like you got like a free stand, a free belt, supplement protocol. Remember, photosensitizers help activate, they help the absorption of light into the cells, so that protocol will help with that. Some amazing, great information resources there, and it comes also with the free wall hooks, so you could mount it either on the stand or you could put it against the door, and with a pulley system. But that's the protocol, and that's there. You got the hat, which you're talking to about the mask, the belt. It's surprising. We've seen people like with all kinds of injuries and chronic fatigue syndrome using a belt to get better, and then if the belt can do that, imagine what the full body panel can do. And when somebody invests in something like that, they can put it out over like 6 months, 12 months, 24 months. So they'll end up spending just like it'll end up costing just like what a supplement does, like a $50 a month if somebody wants to do it that way. And there's no supplement that can do all these things, right? So you're getting so much more. And then at the end of it, you don't own it, right? You don't own that anymore. You've used it. Whereas in this case, this has a 3-year warranty, and it's the rated lifespan is a lifetime, right? So roughly about 80 years.
So there's a video of the a red light panel. There you are.
Yeah.
Wait, is that? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So basically, so what I can see is that there's a variety of different price points. It's not just, and look, we researched this a bunch, and I was looking at the superhuman protocol. There's a lot of different companies, and you easily get up to $5,000-$10,000 for these setups. Or you go onto Amazon, and you're like, oh, it's cheaper on Amazon, but you're getting something coming out of some factory somewhere that's not properly tested, probably has a lot of bad EMFs. It's also not going to be hitting the exact specifications that you're talking about here. So, basically, people can start wherever they want to. Even a couple $100 can get someone something to get started. Like what we've got, and actually, I think I'm in the process that we're going to get one more of these as well. We have, I think, one of these. You would know better than I do.
The equivalent of the one on the right.
Yeah. So we have this one, right? The the full body 300 max. And we're going to get one more of those because I want to have it so that, because they're about 3 feet or so. And I just bought a new kind of health practitioner's bed. We have it up in our bedroom for laying down. So that way I can cover, head to foot in one session. But again, actually, I think we're also, my mom is getting one. She's watched. She's like, Seth, I got to get one of these red lights set up. So I'm gonna get her one of these as well. But okay, so here you go. So yeah, myredlight.com. And again, whatever someone's budget is, you made a good point in saying, look, even if you spend say $1,000 on one of these things, if you're doing supplements at $40 a month, after a year, 2 years, you're already spending way more than these, and these things will last you for, it could be a decade, right, of using it daily, because that's the benefit of LEDs. They don't burn out. Now,
the lifetime warranty. The lifetime expected lifespan is because it's 50,000 hours. You do the math on that, and you'll find that is about 70 or 80 years. And then like even if you have a whole family using it, like 4 people, like me. Right. So one supplement is for one person. So you times that by 4 if you're a family of 4 like me and you. And that's one device, one ring to rule them all. It's one device for the family to use. So you keep doing the math on that and you realize all the things that you're paying a lot of money for, if you were on a budget, this would be the one that I would like. And I've had people call me, I have a supplement company and their friends, and be like, look, if you've got this much, then don't buy any of that right now. Just buy the red light. This is going to help you so much right now. Why would I say that? They could keep reordering from me. I just am saying that because I'm like, look, this is, it does so many things. Like you need the collagen for the skin. So that supplement, you need you need this one for your gut, like the turmeric, you need this and this and this. And yes, they can be great in combination, but this will do so many functions. And then do the best you can with your diet and then watch what happens.
Well, there you go. And we use this. I know, with my wife, Kate, she had a little growth on her thyroid that she was concerned about. But I called you up. We got her set up on a protocol, and we've got the whole medicine cabinet full of, from CDS, methylene blue. We've got, a lot of Dr. Brian Ardis's stuff, a lot of Ed Group's, Global Healing, some of your things as well. But actually the red light, it's not just that it's for healing. It's actually really relaxing. It's that feeling if you're sitting on the beach in the sun and you just relax. Like I look forward to it because it's my quiet time. It's really warm. It's cozy. It feels good. It's great. So again, that's myredlight.com. And then for the CDS, as we mentioned, Amazon, it's actually just Amazon's easy enough. If you search for chlorine dioxide on Amazon, you can get it. But then for red light, myredlight.com. Also for folks that if they need to get a hold of us for any reason, we also have an email set up for people, help@maninamerica.com. And of course, you have your own email, phone number, etc., for folks to reach you. But also we're trying to kind of take some responsibility as well, because I believe so much in what you're doing. And I'm so excited about that. We've also got our own email set up, help@maninamerica.com. But again, myredlight.com, and that promo code Seth, SETH, will get them a pretty big discount, as well. So, Jonathan, any kind of closing thoughts as we round out today?
Yeah, no, it's great, Seth. No, thank you. I love it. It's been such a great discussion, and I'm really touched of the fact that you wanted to talk so much on the chlorine dioxide, and because it is part of my life's mission just to do what I can to get that known to people, because I've seen it save lives, and at the end of the day, that's what it all comes down to. It's universally accessible, and I just don't want people to have any excuse or reason to not try something that could change their life forever. And I've seen too many people suffer and die from cancer over the years. And, all the research and work, even 10 years ago, working on the truth about cancer, I wish I knew about chlorine dioxide then. It's changing lives, guys, and it's just making that choice. And so my biggest thing I'm good at pushing people over the line and saying, do it. Like and I've got to be careful with that because of the disclaimer I gave. But if you have seen the education and you believe that this could help you, don't let anything stand in your way, and don't let just lethargy. It's like there's a good Bible verse says that the soul of the sluggard desires and has nothing, but the soul of the diligent will be made fat. It's in Proverbs. So The soul of the sluggard desires, I want this, I want this, I want this healing, I want that, but has nothing. But the soul of the diligent will be made fat. It's the person that says, yeah, I'm going to just go buy that, I'm going to go buy that chlorine dioxide and I'm going to just mix that. The sluggard says, oh man, that was so complicated, and gives an excuse, but it's a lack of self-love that causes that. But the soul of the diligent says, I'm going to try it. I don't care if I fail. I'm just going to try it. I'm just going to do this. So guys, that's the best thing I can say. And then when it comes to red light therapy, I think it could absolutely make a difference for you and change your life, like it has with Seth and his family, like it has for my family and the friends and the amazing clinical studies I've cited, people in our community, the doctors, they're putting my red light therapy devices, Red Life, in cancer clinics now, major cancer clinics. And these people, like a lot of the big names that people know about, they're using our devices. And it's a game changer, whether it's like Dr. Ed Group or Dr. Brian Artis's team, they're all using the red light therapy devices. And then you've got Dr. Lee Merritt, she loves it. 24 hours, she's texting me. It's like, I can't believe this has only been 24 hours and I can't explain to you how I'm feeling right now. And so these are all people that are friends of mine. I'm not lying, right? This is true. They're all in the public domain. And then people like David Nino Rodriguez, he's like, my eyesight has changed. I used to have to end my sessions early because of back pain. I don't have that excuse anymore. So now I just got to tell people I got to go, not that my back is sore. And he even admitted that he was taking like Viagra for the enhanced sexual performance, and that he doesn't need that anymore because of the red light therapy. And so it's just, and then he's like, and my eyesight is amazing, and I'm feeling so much energy. I feel amazing, and he looks amazing. I'm like, man, you look younger. It's crazy. And so anyway, that's the fun stuff, man. I just want to see my friends get better. I just want to like high five with people, and when I get together with people in person, just to see either people just feel better or that they had a loved one that was chronic and critical and they were dying, and that changed, that turned their life around. That's what I live for, man. I just want that to happen for your community. Your community is my community. So guys, and get results. Tell us about it. We want to share those stories. They're the thing that motivate me. I'm a humanitarian at heart. So people's transformations motivate me. Everything else is a bit boring. So just motivate me, guys. And yeah, again, myredlight.com, and Seth is the code there. And bless yourself and bless your family. It's worth it. And you'll thank yourself for it.
Well, Jonathan, it's been great. I love speaking to you, and I look forward to next time. And thank you again for doing what you're doing and for giving me your time. I really enjoy these conversations. So take care, man, and God bless. Numbers don't lie. The impact that Balance of Nature makes every single day is astounding. You can see the numbers for yourself at their website, balanceofnature.com. So listen to these stats concerning Balance of Nature's worldwide success. More than 1,000 success stories are reported each month. Hundreds of thousands of customers worldwide. Millions of orders delivered each year. And billions, yes, billions of fruits and veggie supplements consumed by people who've decided to start living better. There's only one number missing. That's you. Do what I did and add yourself to these numbers. Start taking Balance of Nature's whole food supplements, like so many others around the world. Here's another number that should get your attention, 35%. Use my discount code SETH to get 35% off, plus free shipping and their money-back guarantee. You must use my discount code SETH. So call them at 800-2468-751 and use the discount code SETH, or order online at balanceofnature.com. Use discount code SETH to get 35% off plus free shipping.